Thank you. I rise to take note of answers to all coalition questions. I'm not sure where to begin. There are a couple of really important ones here. I'll start with Senator Chandler's questions to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Gallagher, around Leila Khaled. And I note that the Minister said that it was a priority for this government to keep the community safe and united. Well, we haven't really seen that. We haven't seen that with what has transpired in relation to the events of October the 7th, and we haven't seen that with the rise of anti-Semitism in this country. So that is a significant concern. I note that the Green Left and the Socialist Alliance are the host of this annual Eco-Socialism Conference in Perth, where this pro-Palestinian terrorist is expected to speak. And whilst the comment from the Minister was that there wasn't any awareness, it would be important for us to have very, very clear answers that actually say that if an application is made, an application will be rejected, because we don't want somebody in this country that spreads this kind of messaging. Well, I think it's important to reinforce that publicly and to reinforce it in a manner that leaves no question whatsoever as to the position of this government on anti-Semitic materials. And then the next one is in relation to Senator Price's questions in relation to white privilege. And I note that a number of times that the Minister representing the Prime Minister noted that the government accepts the outcome of the Voice referendum. However, that was not the question that was asked. The question that was asked multiple times was, does the Prime Minister agree with the Labor's candidate in the seat of Dunkley that the referendum was a display of the worst white privilege in the country? So it's not around whether you accept the outcome, it's whether the leadership of the government agrees with the candidate in Dunkley that the referendum result was the worst of white privilege in our country, particularly when we note that some 56,000 people who live in Dunkley, who voted in Dunkley in the referendum, will also be voting in the by-election, and the Labor candidate has labelled their vote, their exercise, their democratic vote, as the worst of white privilege in our country. So that's a real concern. And I do note that the Minister made the comment that it was an excellent candidate that they had in Dunkley, whose focus was jobs, housing and education. I'm just concerned why the most public commentary was in relation to the Voice referendum result. And then I come to the questions from Senator Mackenzie in relation to the new car tax. And I had the privilege last week of being in Parramatta in Western Sydney with our candidate for Parramatta, Katie Mullins, and with our leader, Peter Dutton, speaking to motor dealers in relation to this issue. And one of the consistent messages that we received was there is an understanding that there is a need to reduce emissions. This is important. But the issue is that the timeline and the way in which this government is addressing this issue is just not appropriate for the problem. Having this rolled out within the next 10 months on the 1st of January 2025 is just too fast. And the impacts, according to the motor industry, is that it will keep people in their cars for longer. An example of this, which they gave, was in New Zealand, where the current average age of a motor vehicle is 15 years. In Australia, it's under 10 years. This new motor vehicle tax will actually keep people in older cars for longer periods of times, and those cars are higher emitting vehicles than something that perhaps was produced today. So this actually is an unintended consequence of this new car tax, notwithstanding the issues that my colleague spoke about earlier around the fact that a lot of these cars are going to cost a lot more money, and you don't have a choice to pick a different car. You can't have an electric ute hauling a bunch of building materials because it just can't get there. Thank you.
Senator